Okay, so as you saw, we just got this all set up to start printing the Pi 4 case, the new one. So I had to kind of change some of the size settings in here. The Pi 4 for the Ethernet and the USB cables has these little flanges that are a little bit bigger. So the bar down the middle I had to take out because there just isn't room for it. I made them a little bit bigger. And then the holes on the side where it lines up, I'd used the measurements off the internet, and it's probably my mistake, but I was off just a smidge. So I have to reprint the case for the Pi 4. Couple of things. Right now we're currently using the Pi 3. You can see we only got 1 gigabyte of RAM, just about a gigabyte of RAM. And it normally runs about 40°C for temperature while it's printing. When it renders the time-lapse video, it'll jump up to about 47-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll definitely be comparing this to the Pi 4. I'll actually tie it right at the end of this video. It'll all be one when you guys see it. The Pi 3, as you can see here, maxed out. It's at 1.4 gigahertz. That's all it can do. I'm not overclocking it. The Pi 4 is 2.4 gigahertz. I'm hoping to see a little bit of an improvement. Not much, because most of this right now is the printer. It's running on the Creality board, not the OctoPrint. But running the instructions to it, because they're uploaded on the Pi, not on the memory card of the printer, so it's pushing out a little bit to it. There we go. Are we still in the first layer? We're still doing layer 1. Oh no, we're on layer 2. I already did the brim. Oh, nope, I was completely wrong. We're on layer 3. I'll have to get you set up so you can see how that camera turned out for my OctoPrint. It actually came out really, really nice with the arms and stuff. Let's see if I can get that turned on for you. Oh, well, there's the smart plugs. There's the camera. As you can see, it vibrates quite well while it's moving that bed back and forth. Let's see if I can get you a little bit better view. There you go. Now you can see how it's set up. And these are all on my Tinkercad. If you want to download them. I haven't uploaded them to Thingiverse because Thingiverse is just going through a lot of growth changes and I'm just waiting for them to settle down. So the camera's here. The print is there. You can see that. This does shake when it's moving out and about and bouncing the bed. I didn't take the arm or anything off my camera because I still use it for other things. But when the bed comes out, it freezes for just a second. All the vibrations stop, takes the picture, and then it continues on. Actually, pretty fucking neat. Pretty damn nice. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm not going to video. Wow, that really vibrates right now. You can see that. And then when it came out, you saw everything stopped. I actually get really good time-lapse videos out of it, surprisingly. Like I said, I do have quite a bit of weight out here, and it's kind of, I could put a little brace under it. I really was worried about it. I ain't got nothing at the moment. I could brace it right here. That'd keep it from vibrating, but I'm not worried about it. It takes good pictures as is. We're not doing like high definition 4K video by any means. But anyway, so even with it bouncing, this is looking through that camera. This is looking through here at it. Even with it bouncing all over the place, picture quality is still pretty good. I mean, I can physically see the camera is bouncing and jiggling all over the place. But as far as that video is concerned, nope. I guess it probably helped if you could see what I was talking about, huh? So this is the picture quality. It's not bouncing all over the place. But here you can see that it's bouncing pretty good, especially right there. But it's also connected to the bed. So apparently the bed's moving that much. All in all, it works quite well for what I want to do. All I wanted was the time-lapse videos. The rest of the stuff that the Pi does is really cool, but not that big a deal to me, per se. I mean, it's really nice to be able to do this. And if your screen ever went out, your LCD died, wouldn't matter. I could unplug it. It runs off the Pi. I'm not going to do that. I actually really like that screen. But it's an option. You know, if your screen ever dies, well, you can spend the money on it, or you can spend 35 bucks on an OctoPi and, what is it, 20 bucks on a memory card if you don't already have one, and you're all set. I mean, it's a really, really nice alternative. I'll give it that. And considering the Pi 3B Plus can handle 10 printers, if I understand it right, all at once, printing. The 4, and I'm not positive, because like I said, I don't know a lot, but the Pi 4 supposedly can handle 25 printers. I'm never going to own that many all at once, but I guess if you're running a print farm, you could run everything from your phone. Whether they're printing the exact same part or not, or if they're all different, it works. It does. It does. So definitely, you know, if you're on there and you're downloading OctoPi or OctoPrint or OctoLapse, the GitHub and forums and the community in general, definitely, you know, hit that donation button. I mean, I'm not making anything off it, but I like the work they do. I'm definitely making use of it. I tipped all of them a bit of money. It's parts and programming I couldn't do that is really benefiting me. The only thing I have left is I have to change out the part cooling fan on the Creality CR-6. I've only had this since October 1st. What is it? November 21st. And that thing squeals when I start it up. The part cooling duct, that blue thing underneath, works perfectly fine for me. But that poor little fan. I found some that have the dual ball bearings in them. And it's a 40 millimeter. But they're like 14 bucks. It's probably worth it. I'm probably going to do it. The front fan is a 30 millimeter. I actually did do that. Even though I have absolutely no idea what I did on them. Wait, yes I do. You're on the other camera. Let me switch you back. This one. So I bought them. Let me get one out where you can see it. Right out open the box. Now these are on Amazon. They're what was it? 18 bucks for 5 of them. But they're the dual ball bearings. 30 millimeter. I've already put one on the front of it. I thought that was the one that was squealing, and found out it's the part cooling fan one, the bigger one on the side, the blower one that's a 40 mil. The one that's a pain in the butt to get to. I mean, you can, but it's pain. In my case, that's the one that's squealing, but I went ahead and put the dual ball bearing one on the front. I was already there, I was doing it. do not have a replacement 40 blower fan to put on there, so I'm dealing with that squeal. It's not actually doing it at the moment, surprisingly. Maybe it knew I was going to change it, and it's like, oh, I better behave. I just want to jump back over to the layer part where it shows what it's doing in OctoPrint. Probably the only other thing that I would use it for is just for monitoring. I know what it's going to print or what it's currently printing, and I can watch it. And then I'll show you this in time lapse when it's completely done. I'll show you the print itself. We'll also print the top piece. We'll also do that in time lapse. And I think we're pretty much all set up except for that fan on the side. I really can't think of anything else. One thing, hopefully you can see it, the cable guide, I did put the one on that holds the Bowden tube. Just kind of helps stabilize it. It's not really I think they meant for it to hold the Bowden tube, which it does, and it does quite well at that. It's straight up, as you can see. But it also helps keeps that cable, because it's a flat cable, flat. And it's, it's not kinked off or bent over. As you can see on my Chiron, this cable, I have broke the thermistor sensor, I don't know how many times. I rewired it. That's this white wire. I reran that thermistor wire a couple of times. The other ones seem to be good. The hot end, the fans, don't have any issues there. It's the thermistor one always breaks. And I don't know why. It's working good now. I put this heavy duty, I got a 2-meter long thermistor with the cable attached. I think there's 18 gauge solid wire. And I ran it directly to the motherboard. Bypassed all the connections, the boards, everything. I went right to the motherboard and plugged it in. Haven't had any issues since. My AnyCubic Chiron prints great. It's definitely, it's a beast. It's made to make big prints. There it is. It's big. This is the bed, if you're not familiar with it. It's pretty much double the size of my Creality CR-6. Do I print prints that big all the time? No, I don't. I do print a few. You've seen my dinosaur, my T-Rex skull. There he is, right there. And then my robot and a lot of my other stuff. I don't generally print that large, though, all the time. But it's really nice to have the ability to, if you want to. Yes, you can cut your parts up and make them smaller and glue them together. But if you can make it in one piece, I mean, I can make life-size helmets. Might take a couple hours, but I can make life-size helmets. And then just trim out the support material and ready to go. I can also print them out on my Creality, 5 or 6 or 8 pieces. Probably not as many supports. Glue it all together, sand it, hopefully get them all even. One's just a bit more work. Might actually have a little bit more detail, I would think, if you did it that way. And as long as you could line them up and get them perfect, I mean, I have the option to do both. All right, let's cut this. We'll come back when it's all done printed. We'll also have the top piece done. I'll just show you the time lapse on that. You've already know what a case looks like. All right, well, as you can see, it has finished. Actually, it looks pretty good. And again, this is on the Pi 3 B+. We're rendering that video now. It was up to 45. It's actually not too bad. 45C with the fan and the case that I did for that one. Well, almost got to 46, not quite though. Mainly want to keep track of that because I want to see how hot the Pi 4 gets. Apparently it gets really hot. Oh, they were at 46.7, almost made 47. And I'm not even going to start the Pi 4 without a fan on it. That's why we're printing the case with this one. Not that I need the Pi to print, but can't start a print job while it's still rendering. Okay. Not really using the processors too much. We're only about 20–30%, and then we're done. And the temp comes down pretty quick. Already dropped down to 42. Shouldn't be going back up. So my OctoLapse is going to be squat, fugly, missed the top half. I'll show you what I got. It's horrible. Well, it's not so much horrible, it just went off the screen. Darn it. But there's all the hairs. I don't know why it won't focus in. There we go. All those silly, ridiculous hairs. They just wipe off. You can see that one just blowing in the breeze. They just wipe off. I mean, it's inconvenient, but it's better than actual stringing that has to be cut or filed or, sanded. They just wipe off. I'll show you real quick. Just wipe them off. These little fuzzies. But one thing I thought I would try was stick it in hot water and scrubbing it with like a little toothbrush or something. Yeah, it's like cat hair. You just make a mess. It's best to just wipe it off. All right, well, I'm going to give it a few minutes to cool down. Actually, it should be pretty close now, honestly. There we go. One thing I've noticed, hold on a second, get some of this off here. Is taking the time-lapse video, is making this seam. I'll show you here in a moment. So I need to switch cameras. There we go. I wonder you couldn't see what I was doing. So it printed like this. See if I can get that in close for you. But what's happening, and you don't see it here, in here as you can see, is pretty dang smooth. But on the back side, there's a seam or a row. I mean, it's smooth. I mean, you can visibly see it. But definitely see where it stopped and started for the time-lapse video to be taken. Now, one thing on this one, this one I did earlier for the Pi 3. See if I can get it up there. The seam is not as pronounced. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. You can kind of see it. It's like right there. Oh, wrong direction. Hold it out here. Anyway, trust me, it's there. But it's not as much. It seems to be much more pronounced. And it's not just this filament, because it did it on the gray as well. I just happen to be printing in black now. It did it on the gray as well. But the inside is really smooth, except for all them silly ass hairs. And you can see there, they're just hairs. Alright, let's get this one cleaned up, get the top part printing, get all this put together. Oh yeah, I'll show you the bolts done here. This is the Pi 4. I'm sure you've all seen one. My lights are probably too bright. But it has the sub-C plug and the two minis, HDMI. I can't show you the other one, it's actually plugged in at the moment. But it fits in here basically a little snugly. Give me a second here. But it fits in here like this. But these flanges up here were just a little bit wider than on the 3. That's why I had to redo it. Make sure all the holes line up, and of course they do. And then I'll have a fan, and then the cover. It's going to be almost identical to this one, but it's going to have a different hole. It's going to be a 30 millimeter instead of a 40. Pop this in there real quick. So it'll look like this with a fan on top. Access for the memory card. And then over here, hopefully you can see that, we can slide into the 2020 extrusion. But this one, try and get it out of there. Doesn't want to come out. There it goes. It's going to go for that other case. I got to make the other one for this, for the 30 millimeter fan. I was talking about it earlier and didn't show you. But this is the little teeny tiny fan. Not quite big enough to fill that hole. And then just to make sure you did, well, when I swap them out, I'll show you what the process is to get that out. The P plus case is right here. I can get you a little closer, I guess. There we go. But I'll show you that when I got the screen out of the way. It's much easier to see. Let's get the top printing. I believe that one's about 2 hours. I'm going to wipe this down with alcohol. I'll show you how I do that real quick since I have it right here. And I just use 91% rubbing alcohol. Just happens to be in the spray bottle form. I'll just spritz it on a napkin. And even though I just did that middle part of the bed, I always wipe the whole thing down. And as you saw when I pulled that part off, or any of my parts, I don't have issues with adhesion. My parts stick, and they stick quite well. Just kicking the temp in the bed up. Then I have tweezers that I use to clean the head with that you can't see at the moment. But I just wipe it off, basically. That's it. And then I'll do it again once it hits temperature. Make sure it's all clean. Start the next print. Regardless of what it is, that's the process I do for each one. Jump back over here. You can see the temps are going up. Up to 133 and 52. And we will delete the bottom, so we only have the top piece to do now. We'll go ahead and load him. Give it a second to render it. That's at the bottom. What the top will look like. You can see how much smaller this hole is with a little 30mm fan. Otherwise, I kept the same design and everything. I didn't change anything else except the fan size. Just waiting to hit temp. The bed's there, waiting on the nozzle. It's up to 203. Should be able to clean this again now. There's a little bit. Fans are kicking on. There's that hair. Don't know why. I mean, it prints good. Alright, now let's tell it to print. Make sure the bed is clear. And I'm going to have a seam. Well, it'll be on the flat, so it won't make any difference on this particular part. I know it thinks it's going to take 1.5 hours. I guesstimate about 2 hours. We'll see. Let's switch you over to this one actually. You can see it coming down. It's going to make that little blop right in the middle as it tests the bed height in the center. We'll wipe that off. Actually, I can put this down a little. This part won't be that tall. Grab that little piece. Go over, take a little picture, and then it'll start to print. Do the extruder prime line, which is right here. You can almost see it. Yeah, there you go. And it's pretty much perfect. And that, let's see if I can show you on here, what was stuck to the bed. Focus. That's the purge line I do. And parts, they stick. They stick quite well. I'm going to shut this down for a moment because I got to move my camera. And while this prints the lid here in the background, I'm just going to show you real quick. This one does not have a separate fan piece on top. It's all going to be integrated into one. And I made this a little bit thicker for the screws to go into because it's a much smaller fan. It doesn't really need that much strength to it. Yeah, see we got the time-lapse still video right there. Only got one at the moment. We'll just start it. Let's jump back over to here. This is the part we just printed. Made the holes slightly oversized because we had some issues popping it down in there. I didn't like stressing any of those connections. Once it's screwed in, it won't be loose. It's not really loose now. It actually won't come out. It's kind of still pressed in there. I'll show you how easy these brims come off. Move this up. The brim just really, you just pull it off. Now around these little corners for the T-molding into the 2020 extrusion. That I may have to clean out a little bit with a razor knife, just because it's much smaller than my fingers can do. Just cut in, down. It helps if I can see it. Something doesn't look right on that one. Oh, missed a little here on the bottom as well. What the heck? And that's pretty much the worst cleanup I've ever had. And then all these little hairs, I don't know if you can see them in here. It looks like stringing, but they're just hairs. Move out of the way. I can take the time to scrub them all off, clean them off, but I'm going to be running them through the extrusion, so it won't really matter. Speaking of, come to think of it, I'm working on another model where I am printing 20 by 20 extrusion. Yes, you can build your own 3D printer. What I'm going to do is just slide it in there. As I thought, it was getting stuck on something. There we go. And then because this is 3D printed, it's not sandpaper, but it's kind of. It'll smooth up all those imperfections. Isn't that a lovely sound? That way I know it'll slide through on the printer itself. Lost my fan. There he is. And then these screws are way beyond the length needed. I'll probably actually use them like I did before. I'll actually go through the bottom of the case, through the motherboard, and then up into the top. Show you on this other top. They're more than long enough to go all the way up in there. And then I'll just find 4 little screws to screw the fan up into here. Well, this is more or less what it'll look like. And that'll be fitted in. I don't want to push it in now because it fits very snug and stays there. So that's it. The building of the case for the Pi 4. Now the next rendering, jump back over. The one you're looking at now will still be on the Pi 3. You can see it runs about 40-ish degrees Celsius doing the print. And then this last time, I think it was running about 45. I think it hit 47 once or twice while rendering the time-lapse video. That's pretty much cooking all 4 cores on it. The B3, the 3B Plus, is only a 1.4 megahertz processor. The Pi 4 is a 2.4, so it should do much better. Although it's probably going to be a little bit warmer. That's why I want to make sure before I even run it that the fan's on it. All that's good. Now I did plug it in. I already did test it. Made sure it booted OctoPrint. So all of that worked quite well. It booted up OctoPrint without any issues. One quick thing, it does have the USB 3, and it does have the 2, and then obviously the Ethernet, plus Wi-Fi. That's the Wi-Fi chip. If you wanted to use the Pi camera, that's what plugs into this part right here. And on Adafruit, I thought the 8 megapixel was the good one, but looks like they have a 16 megapixel camera out now. So 4K plus, I mean, if you're into that, their cameras are only about 20 bucks. It's probably cheaper than a webcam, but I already had a bunch of webcams, so I'm just plugging them in. I imagine those would actually be better. Don't quote me on that, but I'm assuming they would be better. It would be nice once I get it popped up in there. Boink. Yes, you can print your own 20 by 20 extrusion. Well, you can print whatever size you want. Still have the hole down the middle. There you go. There you go. Or if you needed to run wires for LEDs or motors, or down the other side if you have whatever you're printing. But I just wanted to know that I could. This is only at 30% infill, so I didn't get all carried away with it. But it's pretty strong. It's just as strong as the aluminum, I think. Now, once you get this stretched out 3-4 foot, but then the aluminum one's going to bend too. Then here's one of the arms. Oh, I didn't clean up all my stuff yet. But I was going to build a Delta. I've changed my mind. I'm going to build a Corax. But the extrusion basically would fit in there. I know they're all the same color and it shouldn't be. But it fits quite well. And then T-nuts, just like normal. Let's say I was going to use this side over here. I'm not doing the Delta. I guess it'd be from over here is where you'd be looking. The bolt and the T-nut would go through here. And then, of course, this and that will correspond to tightening this up to that. But I've changed it. This is for a 120-degree angle to do a circle Delta printer. I'm doing a Core XY, so I need to switch over to 90-degree corners now. But proof of concept. Very happy. Well, it's finally done. Actually came out pretty easy. Select this back out of the way. Oh, there we go. A line there, but it's actually pretty smooth. The little vent grills came out good. Ton of hairs everywhere. And again, there's just hairs. They just pull off. They're just fuzzies. Noxious, but let's go back over here. Just double checking my sound settings. Yeah, for whatever reason they were cranked up again to 100. We have that, we have the fan, we have the screws. I gotta remember, so going that way. It goes this way. So they screwed on this way. Okay. Of course, my big hand's going to be in the way. I'll fix that though. Oh, that's not the right one. No, oddly, he might work. No, we'll switch him around and get the correct ones. All right, let's try this again. That corner. Now these are actually going to be a hair too long, but I can grind them off a little bit, but it's going to be out of the way, so it's really not going to actually matter. If I ever go to print one of these again, I'll just make it like 3 millimeters thicker. That would solve this issue as well. Let's give it a lot more to hold on to. I was just thinking, make sure the fan blades actually turns. And that's what it looks like from the other side. Stick up just a little bit. Not much. I can deal with it. Now, I didn't think to double check. I believe it's, if you count them in a row, I think it's the number 2 and 3 pin, and the 3 pin is negative, but I want to double check that. Where would I put that? No, that ain't it. What is that? Okay. So it's technically pin 4 and 6, 4 being positive. Alright. So I was correct. Cool. And all snapped in. This time it will be staying. Looks like it's off just a little bit. think we got it now. No, actually, well, maybe we do. No, I don't think it's going in. Something's not lining up. Oh, the screws are a little bit bigger than the pie. Those are the same screws or screw type I used on the other one, I thought. Okay, so you can see that one, and that one did come through. The holes on the Pi 4 is apparently just a hair under a 3mm. So I could have, well, I know those are the same screws I used on the 3 Plus. Interesting. Now let's bring them all down flush. Nice thing about 3D printing the case, don't have to worry about it shorting out on one of those aluminum ones. So all I did is I just unscrewed them so they're flush with the board. So when I plug this in now, it should be right on it. This on the right direction. don't really want to have to take this apart without a need in the future. And yes, I printed these at very tight tolerances. And just going to look up through the hole and then down through the holes, because these are actually all the way through. I'm going to do the diagonal one. I think next time I print this out, I might print it at 101%, or no, 100.2%, I think. So I'm printing it at 0.2. Make sure nothing's rattling. Good to go. So now I'm going to grab the power supply and the memory card. We're just going to make sure everything works before we go any further. Alright, so what I came up with is here, and I don't know, I might be breaking some copyrights, but spacers! Oh, but anyway. The only thing I had that didn't actually block the fan itself. Alright, here, I needed to go this way. This is fun. Yeah. See, now if I had extra nuts that were actually the exact same size, but I don't. These are like 2.5 millimeter, and I have 3 millimeter. So let's see if we can get this to work. Oh. I think I got it. Give me this though, they're tiny. For Pete's sakes. I'm sure there's a 100 different ways better to do this than what I'm doing, but that's what I'm doing. Alrighty then. Now let's see if we can actually tighten them down. Not by hand. I was saying if I had another hand, I should lift it up off of there. Airflow's still going to go, but it'll be far enough away that it's not touching anything. And that should work. Alright, let's try this all over again. This time though, before I bolt it all together, just turn it on and see what it sounds like. So quiet. I think puts out a ton of airflow. I can feel it about that far away. What is that, about 5 inches? Can you hear it? See if I can try and see if you can hear the wind. Definitely not hitting anymore. Good. Oh, it's funny. There's enough airflow, it won't. There's air pressure in there. Well, that's actually good since this runs hot. From everything I've seen. Just waiting for that green light to quit. It's not good to power these off the way I am. You should actually go through the shutdown. I don't have a way to do that just yet. So I'm just going to pull the power. It's going to be mad at me, I'm sure. But it's the best I have at the moment. I am apparently way off. What's going on? Apparently when I made these screw holes, they're like exactly lined up. And with the Pi 4 having smaller screw holes than the 3B, which is what I modeled this after, yes, I could probably go get a drill bit and just make it fit, but it's so close, we'll just thread it through. Yep, there we go. One of these days I'll be done screwing around. No rattling. I might put a dab of super glue on here once I know they're all good. Well, yeah, because if any of those screw heads fall down, there's metal components underneath. That's the only drawback to those nuts that I used. There's nothing that vibrates if they come loose. They come loose. Must not have had him lined up quite right. I know you're all fast forwarding, but I have to go through this in real time. Actually, looks pretty damn good. Alright, a little dab of super glue. And I'm just going to do it out here on the metal itself. Screw in the nut. Clear fingernail polish should probably work just as well. I don't know if you can see that. Let's get it to a focus. Yeah, you get the idea. Just put a little bit of super glue on the bolt and the nut. Shouldn't be able to vibrate loose. And if I really needed to take it apart, I could. Alright, supply power. It's actually pretty quiet. The only thing I might do, it's going to be hidden so I can't see it anyway, but so I can see the red and green light, might make that notch a little bigger, but before I'm going to have it, I couldn't see it anyway. I'll just give it a couple minutes to kick up. Let's see if we can access it. And we're in. Let's go into the resources. You see it says 1.8 gigabytes memory. That's how I know it's 2 gigabytes because my other one's only a 1 gig. This is a 4 Pi. Using 28% of the 7 gig drive. Boot disk 21. Now this is the memory card. And look at that temp. Now granted, nothing is running right now. Nothing's going on. Just idle. And this fan is probably 3 times faster than that 40mm one I have on my 3B. Okay. Oh, I can't set up the printer just yet because I don't have this hooked up over there. But all in all, we're up to 35, 34. If it runs the same as the 3D, I'll be happy. But from everything I've seen, it runs about 10C higher. I really don't want it hitting 60C. I'll be okay with 55, but I'd like to keep it to 50 or under. Now obviously I don't have anything hooked up right now. That's from the previous print when I printed this lid. Camera's not connected. Oh, I forgot about this. No, I don't want that. Alright, well let's shut down. Yes, I'm sure. And then let's get this connected up to my printer, get all the wires and cords plugged in and route it, make it look pretty. Probably not going to go through all of that. I mean, I'm just sliding it in. I mean, I might, who knows. That is quite the fan. Damn, I might take that out, put that on the hot end. I do have 2 of them. Oh, I did have 2. Yep, there it is. I do have another. If you're interested in these fans, I will take a better picture with my phone and paste it in here. There's the part number from Adafruit. Oh, come on, focus. There it goes. Apparently it was made in October 11th, 2017. See if I can get it to focus on the fan itself. Oh, that might be too shiny. Oh, there it goes, I think. Yeah, there you go. There's the model number. It's a 0.2 amp. I know the fan on my hot end on the CR-6 SE is a 0.6 amp. But this says it's brushless. I thought it was supposed to be a dual ball bearing. It is $3. Well, definitely got some airflow in it for 5 volts. Damn. Oh, 5 volts. Would not be able to use it on Creality. It's 12 volt. You'd smoke it. Alright, well this should be powered down. Yes. Pull the power. Get everything switched over to the printer. I guess I can show you that. Kind of see things from there. Let's see if I can go over a little more. Kinda. And then switch this for this. Won't be needing this one there. Oh, power's gonna be See, my other one was a USB and I could just unplug it. Well, I guess I can unplug this one as well. Pull this one. Set it over here out of the way. Set that up there. Trying to get too much crap. Now I have to do some cable management on the other end. Probably zip tie all of those underneath the printer. Don't remember which size fits these. Oh, I lied. I do remember. No, I have not updated the firmware on this to the community or even the newest one from Creality, although they pulled it off their website because apparently there was an issue with the language. It was stuck in Chinese or Korean or whatever it was. I never changed mine or updated mine because I've never had a problem with mine. It prints really nice. I see no reason to fix something that's now broke. And then the Pi 3 just slides out. See, that one fit in there a little nicer. I think it's a little bit narrower than the Pi 4. Slide this one in. Oh no, must have been some glue on the front. I have it on my finger now. Oh, for Pete's sakes. I even have glue on my finger and I can't pick it up. I'm going to try to pause right there for a moment. Clean this off. Just because I have it all over my fingers. All right, printers put back together. Plug in the power. Let's make sure the switch is off. The other nice thing about this being sub-C is it really does not make any difference which direction it goes. And then I did make sure I connected to the USB 3 USB ports. The two USB ports are still available. I think I messed my camera up. That should be pretty close. All right, let's go ahead and power up the Pi. Oh, and the printer as well too. It was not supposed to do that, but the switch must have been on. All right. Oh, that kicked on pretty quick. That was almost freaky quick. Don't really have anything to print per se, so I'm just going to do a 30 to 40 millimeter fan adapter that I'm potentially going to be using. I may not, but I just want to check the memory, see what our speeds get up to. This is a quick print. I think it was like an hour. Start heating up the hot end and the bed. Haven't seen the speed kick up at all yet. Oh, I clicked that again, right? Let me move him around. There's a little tweak there on the second core, a little one on the first, tiny one. That's what we would be printing. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. That was interesting. It's 10 millimeters high, about 26 minutes, well, faster than I thought. I just want to take a look at that in Cura. I want to make sure it's the part I think it is. Apparently I clicked it too many times. Okay, so that's the part I thought it was printing. Okay, we're good. And looks like we're up to temp. I am going to rub that down with alcohol because I've been doing a little bit of other stuff. Oh, I used up my paper towel. I'll put you on the close camera so you can actually see how I wipe that down. I mean, it's not special by any means. Take a spray bottle of rubbing alcohol, 91%. Spritz my napkin. And just wipe it down. Mostly here in the middle, because that's where I'm going to be printing. And yes, I hit the camera. I'll fix it. And set that right about the middle. Alright, that looks pretty good. Clean off the little hangers. Let's print this fan adapter. So back here, yeah, okay. And we'll print. And this. And this. Still haven't seen any of the cores kick out. Speed's still running about 35, 36. Probably won't really do anything until it does the time-lapse rendering. I'm probably only going to stress this Pi one little bit with one printer. I saved this one, the Pi 4 can handle, I want to say it was 25 printers. I have two. This line, pretty damn good actually. First layer is looking good. see what the up close one looks like. That's pretty darn good. That's the 40mm fan shroud at the bottom, and then the 30 will be printed on top. No baffles or anything in between, it's just wide open. It's got a lot of retracts and Z-hops in it. Good grief, why did it take so long? Oh, got a nice picture of my finger. Nice. You see that all the little Z-hops are showing. I think that's where I'm getting all those hairs. But the print's really nice. I might do a couple test prints with the Z-hop turned off just to see. The print's nice without the hairs. Good enough. If I start getting little zits and stuff, we'll turn it back on. So it's a total almost 10mm high. We're just now touching the third layer. We're at 0.6. We're on layer 3. And then again, to see the whole setup, the Pi is right there. LCD screen, printer part, camera that's on the printer. Now you can hear that part cooling fan kicking in, that little 40mm blower. That's the one I have to replace. That's the loudest thing. And if I'm quiet, I mean, it's not bad, but when it's the only thing, you know. And actually the only reason I want to replace it is now and then when I start it, it has that really high-pitched squeal. You all know what a fan sounds like when it squeals. So I know it's going out. One of these times I'll go to print and it won't be running. And no parts cooling. Woo-oo. Oh, we're up to 1.5 gigahertz there for a second. Not sure what it's thinking about. We're already up to 9%. Looks to be doing really good. still saying about an hour. It's really not that big a print. And I suppose that we're already 11% in, so take it for what it is. Temp seems to be pretty damn steady at 36.5. Now earlier, or not earlier, but yesterday when I first got the Pi 4, I plugged it in and tested it, made sure it worked. I have gotten one that was bad, a Pi 3, and I had to send it back, and they replaced it for me under warranty. But I tested it to make sure it worked, and it did. It worked right out of the box. Adafruit's actually a really good company from everything I've seen in my experiences. But with no fan, just the board in the air, I couldn't touch the chip. I shouldn't say I couldn't. I mean, it was hot. I mean, I could touch it. It didn't like burn me and leave burn marks, but it was hot. I bet it was at least 55, if not 60 C, just sitting there idle. Right now it's only, what are we at, 36, almost 37? I can live with that. I was hoping to be under 50. I think we did it. Now when we go to render, I expect it to go up a bit. And we'll definitely be paying a lot of attention to it at that point. But I think with the RAM that it has, the processor that it has, it's really only going to be running one printer for probably the next couple of weeks, month. I don't have any big prints or anything. I mean, I could do a test, print little things on my big Chiron. But even then, I shouldn't be able to push that Pi at all. It should be able to just sleep its way through it. I don't think I'm going to pause it or anything. I'm just going to let it run through this whole print, since it's a fairly quick one. You can fast forward to it if you don't want to watch this bit. And all those little Z-hops, or Z-hops, whatever you want to call them, bunny hops. I actually did hit 37.5. That's the highest I've seen it with that fan on it. Sad part is I was just thinking of my first computer I ever built. This will put some age on it. It was a 478 socket, 4-core hyper-threading. I want to say it was like I'm pretty sure it was a 2.4 megahertz. And it was, standard ATX size, like 14-inch by 14-inch square. I've got all that in that little tiny Pi 4. Now granted, this is, a few minutes since way back then. Socket 478. I'm surprised I even remember that. It was a BioStar motherboard. And I think I put a whopping 4 gigabytes of RAM in that. I maxed that thing out. 4 gigabytes of RAM. This Pi comes, well, this particular Pi that I have only has 2 gigabytes of RAM. You can get it with 8 though. And I believe there's a 16 if I remember right. Could be wrong on the 16. I know there's an 8. And I'm pretty sure that chip I bought was a couple $100. And the board was probably $100. This whole Pi with the chip, everything, $35. I think the next thing I need to look into is that Pi 4 kit, or Pi 400. That's what it was, Pi 400 kit. It's got the keyboard, the power supply, and memory card and all that. Can't remember if it's running Raspbian or... I'd have to look again. It actually just came out recently. I might have to look into that. I mean, basically a mini keyboard, and that's your whole computer. Just plug a monitor into it. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in. Plug your wireless headset, or connect I should say, you don't have to plug them in, just connect them. $25% in about 13 minutes. So yeah, this should be right about an hour. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the OctoPrint, sorry, OctoLapse. Obviously the Raspberry Pi 4 and the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, and most definitely my Creality CR-6 SE printer. Oh, I probably ought to mention my Logitech 920C camera. What else is on there? Oh yeah, my ZYL Tech filament. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Very happy with it. I know a lot of people had some issues with Creality and their Kickstarter, and some had issues with their motherboards. The USB port, I guess it was shorting out on some of them. I didn't even take the risk. I just opened up my USB cable, cut the red 5 volt, shrink wrapped it back up, no issues. Connect to my printer for Ponterface. Before I had the OctoPrint. Now that I have OctoPrint, I have a terminal right there, so no need to connect to my computer. It's already connected to one with Wi-Fi. I can access it when I'm out doing stuff around town. Yeah, that's actually going quite well. Now, I haven't done it from my phone. I have been using my computer just for video purposes. But I would assume if I'm out and about on my cell phone, I could hit Thingiverse or Yeti or any of the other places, download whatever it is I want to print, slice it, and print it without ever going home, and monitoring all of it while I'm doing it. Alright, so we're down to the last couple of minutes here. Looks like about 3, maybe 4. We got like 3 layers to go, I think. Just doing the top layers, doing the infill on the top so it's closed. But I'm going to jump over here now. So I'm going to see what the speed cranks up to and the temperature when it starts doing the rendering for the video. It should be in the next, well, it says 3 minutes. So far the highest temp I've seen is 37.5. Highest speed I saw was 1.5. 0.10 higher than the 3B was, 3B plus. There should be one more layer after this one, I believe. What's really neat is what you're seeing on the screen is exactly what it's doing. Kind of cool. Now this one only has 51 images, I think it was. So it won't have to render as much or as long. But still, we should get an indicator if the temp's going to climb up over 50 and what the speed might go to for just one printer. A lot of back and forth and Z-hops. Not the way I would have preferred to slice this. And this should be the last layer. This is the one that it tidies up everything and makes it all look pretty. We'll take a look at it too, up close. Less than a minute to go. It should be the last image for the time lapse. Well, no, it'll be the one at the very end, I guess, obviously. That should be it. It should start rendering now. SI 1.5. Temps up to 40. Rendering's done. It was a lower temp for everything all together and the rendering than the 3B was just on average. Whether that's the fan, I don't know. Well, I think it is. That fan's putting out a lot more. Alright, well, I'm going to put this all together. Let's go ahead and disconnect. get you a little closer so you can see it. I won't be able to pull it off the bed yet. I'm expecting a lot of hairs. Yep, that is the Z-hop. See, I could almost pick the printer up. I'm not going to do that, but let's see what we can see. So no, pretty damn good. Oh yeah, that side's built up pretty good. Now on the back side there, I don't know if you can see, would be the top of your screen. That's where it's doing the time lapse, and it bounces back and then comes back and forth. Put you back down here so you're not bouncing all over the place. Yeah, that won't come up until this bed gets down to about 35C. Or if I just wait 15-20 minutes, I'll just come over and it'll just be sitting there. It'll be free all by itself without me doing anything. Definitely those hairs are from the Z-hops, I'm sure. My next print, I'll turn that off because I didn't have any hairs on the others, and I wasn't using Z-hop. That was something introduced with the Cura 4.8 beta, and I left it. I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And then when the 4.8 came out, non-beta, I just never changed it. We will do so now, though, I think, because I think it's honestly making more work than it needs to for what my printer does. I don't need the Z-hop. All these little strings all over the place. Let's filament. We're almost cool enough. I like to get it under 50C before I turn the power up to it. I'm also going to shut down the Pi, I suppose. Oh, wait, no, I got to get the print off, or the time lapse off that. Make sure I have the other ones. Bottom, top. Alright. Looks like we're all good. We can delete all these. Oh, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just deleting the past videos, time-lapse ones that it's recorded. I don't need them. I don't think the time-lapse, I did save them. I don't need any of these. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. I delete them anyway. I was supposed to do that. Yeah, see, even just in idle, it's running at that temp. I wasn't even touching that Pi's capabilities. I don't know why. Oh, we disconnected it. That's right. That's why those numbers are wrong. All right, let's go ahead and turn this off. Let's cool down at all. No, it's down to 32. Now I could pull it. I'm just going to let it do its own thing. Especially since I don't even need the part at the moment. I don't have anything to print next, so no reason to stress it. Now the only fan you hear is that little 30mm one on the Pi 4. Come around here. And my Pi 3. I'm actually going to be giving this to a friend of mine. Pretty robust little case. Nice pointy thing. Keep little fingers away from it. Kill the power to the Pi. And silence. And I'm going to unplug this. I have to figure out something better to do with that, but for now, thank you. You'll see the time-lapse videos coming up here after this. Silly little hairs. That's got to be the, well, I know it's the Z-Hop. We're turning that off now.